Many IELTS students have difficulty getting a high IELTS speaking score because they don't know which vocabulary to use to improve their score. To achieve a high band score, you must prove to the examiner that you know advanced vocabulary for all the topics you have to talk about in the speaking test. In this video, you'll learn the 40 most common words and phrases you need to give high-scoring answers in IELTS speaking. By the way, if you are going to take your IELTS soon, check out my IELTS materials. There I teach you everything you need to score high. I show you step by step how to give high-scoring answers. And of course, we do many practice tests together, so you will feel confident for your test. You can find the link to my course in the description box. Now, grab some paper and a pen. For each word you know, you get 1 point. Comment below how many words you know. For example, 15, 30, or 40. Let's begin. We're going to start by looking at some specific topic vocabulary for the most common topics in the IELTS exam, namely the environment, everyday life, technology, and education and work. A key theme in the IELTS speaking exam is everyday life. This could include anything from your daily routine to your hobbies or to your general likes and dislikes. When talking about something you like or are interested in, the verb phrase to be keen on is a great one to use. Let's see some examples. I'm really keen on outdoor sports like rock climbing and cycling. I am not so keen on cooking, but I do like trying new cuisines whenever I have the chance. Notice how this phrase can either be followed by a noun, that is, keen on outdoor sports, or a verb in the ing form, not so keen on cooking. Word number 2 is the adverbial now and again. This is super useful when talking about how often you do something, which is a very likely theme to appear in IELTS speaking. This is particularly helpful for part 1, where you might be asked about your daily routine. For instance, you could say, in the morning, I usually run on the treadmill in the gym, but now and again, I go for a run in the park instead. The third word is recharge one's batteries. This is a nice expression that we use as a metaphor to talk about resting and relaxing. That is, getting our energy back after using it up on different activities. Just like we recharge our phone when it has no battery left, we can also use this expression to refer to our own energy levels. It's good if you're asked to talk about your free time activities, hobbies, or general daily life. For example, in the evenings, I really love getting stuck into a good book. It gives me time to relax and recharge my batteries after a hard day at work. Word number 4 is the phrasal verb to take up a hobby. This means to start a new hobby or activity. Let's see it in an example. A few years ago, I decided to take up knitting because I wanted a creative hobby. Since then, I've made loads of cozy scarves and jumpers. As you can see, we can use the word hobby, or we can replace it with names of specific hobbies. In this case, I've used the word knitting. The next word is can't stand. We use this phrase when we really dislike or even hate something. It's a great one to use when talking about likes and dislikes, which is another common speaking part 1 theme. For example, my sister always encourages me to do some exercise, but I just can't stand it. I know it's not healthy, but I prefer to sit on the sofa and watch TV at home. Another common topic that is likely to come up in the IELTS speaking test is work and education. Word number 6 is work-life balance. This noun phrase is great for this topic as it refers to how you divide your time between your work and your free time. The idea behind it is that you shouldn't work too much, allowing yourself time to relax too. For instance, having a good work-life balance is essential for keeping stress at bay. Another useful noun phrase for talking about work is the career ladder. This refers to the concept of moving up to higher positions in your industry or company. We often use this with the verbs climb and move up. Let's take a look at some examples. I've been climbing the career ladder in my company ever since I started. I started at entry level, never having worked in marketing before. Now I'm marketing director and I manage a team of 50 people. My goal is to move up the career ladder in the next few years. The next word is the noun degree. This is a simple but useful word to talk about your education and qualifications. It refers to your university studies. You can either use it to refer to the course itself or the qualification you receive when you graduate. For example, I learned about business models in my degree, or I have a degree in English literature. As you can see, if we want to mention the subject of our completed university qualification, we can say, have a degree in plus subject. Word number 9 is the verb revise. This verb means to look again at something you've already done or learned in order to remember it. We often use this in the context of education. So, for example, we usually revise for an exam. We learned the information before, but we need to check it again to try and remember it so we can pass the exam. However, it can also be used in other contexts, such as a professional one. For instance, I have prepared a presentation to deliver to colleagues. But just before delivering it, I might want to look again at some of the key information to remind myself about it. In this case, I can say, I am going to revise the main points of my presentation. The next word is the adjective academic. This adjective relates to anything about schools, colleges, or universities. It can also mean something that is theoretical and intellectual rather than practical. For example, we often talk about academic subjects at university, like history, science, maths, and so on. These subjects are generally focused on theory and learning information rather than doing something. A practical subject might be something like mechanics or sports. Let's see an example. Tina has always been good at academic writing. She regularly gets top marks in her essays. By the way, if you want more IELTS vocabulary, hit the like button and write yes in the comments. If you want something else, tell me your video wish in the comments so I know what you would like to see on this channel. Now, let's take a look at 30 more words you need to get a high band score in IELTS speaking. One more common topic in IELTS speaking is technology. Word number 11 is the noun device. This is an essential word when talking about this topic. A device is a piece of electronic equipment, like a phone, speaker, or laptop, for example. We can say, make sure your device is connected to the internet. The next word is the adjective digital. It relates to computers or technology. It can also be used to highlight something done using a machine or computer rather than manually. For example, nowadays, most patient records in health centers are kept in a digital format. Or, I prefer to wear a digital watch rather than an analog one. I like to see the time displayed in numbers, not with a clock face. The next item on our list is the phrase stay in touch. This is also super helpful when discussing technology and the internet. It means to remain in contact with someone. For instance, I use messaging apps and social media to stay in touch with my family and friends. An important word native speakers often use when talking about technology is the noun privacy. This word refers to keeping personal information to yourself, not available for other people to see. We talk about this a lot nowadays with regards to the internet, as when we post things online, we are allowing many people to access information about us. But luckily, on many apps and devices, we can change our privacy settings to control who is able to see this information. Let's see another example. Some websites track people's behavior and preferences, which is a big privacy concern for many. The last word related to the internet and technology is the phrase go viral. If you're a regular social media user, you may have heard this one. If a video, photo, or post goes viral, it means that it gets a lot of attention. A huge number of people share, like, and comment on the video, and it spreads across the internet, reaching thousands or even millions of people. An example is, I couldn't believe that my video went viral on TikTok. It went from 500 to 1 million views overnight. The final topic we're going to check out is the environment. This is a key topic in IELTS in general, and it's likely to come up in the speaking test. Word number 16 is the noun resources, which is extremely useful when talking about environmental matters. It refers to anything useful or valuable that can be used for a specific purpose. In the topic of the environment, it often refers to natural substances like water, air, wood, and so on. Let's see an example. We need to use natural resources wisely. There isn't an unlimited supply. Another key word for this topic is the adjective sustainable. It means that something can be used or maintained for a long time. For instance, the company aims to make sustainable packaging by using less plastic. Word number 18 is the noun waste. This means the things that we throw away because we don't want or need them. We can reduce food waste by shopping every few days and only buying what we need. It can also be used as a verb with an object. In this case, it means to use too much of something unnecessarily, particularly when there is a limited amount. For example, people waste water when they leave the tap running while brushing their teeth. The next word on the list is the adjective environmentally friendly. This is probably one of the most important words when talking about the environment. It means that something is good for the environment, so it doesn't cause harm or damage to the environment. For instance, electric cars are much more environmentally friendly than petrol-fueled cars. Word number 20 is the adjective green. We all know this as the color, of course, but it can also be used as a synonym of environmentally friendly to say that something is good for the environment. For example, lots of cities are promoting green transport options, like cycling or electric buses. That's our topic vocabulary done for now. Next, we're going to focus on some common and useful linking words that you'll need in the IELTS speaking test. Word number 21 is as well as that. This is used to add information. Let's take a look at an example. Using alternative energy sources helps reduce carbon emissions. As well as that, they promote a more sustainable way of living. Another way we can add information is by using the phrase not only, but also. Let's see this in action. Not only does this device improve efficiency, but also it enhances digital security. This is a particularly good phrase to use as it's a way of including the advanced structure inversion. What is inversion? If you use inversion, you reverse the normal subject plus verb order of a sentence and sometimes add an auxiliary verb. Notice that we say, not only does this device improve, instead of not only this device improves. This is a great way to show your advanced knowledge of English grammar, which helps you improve your IELTS speaking band score. The next word is such as. This is a good way to provide an example. Let's see this in a sentence. In my free time, I enjoy relaxing activities such as reading and going for walks to recharge my batteries. Word number 24. To be honest is a fantastic one that makes your speech sound really natural. We often use it at the beginning of a sentence or phrase to state that we're giving our honest opinion about something. For example, to be honest, I've never really been keen on action films. I prefer comedies instead. The next phrase is the way I see it. This is another great way to introduce your opinion. Let's see an example. The way I see it, earning a degree is important, but students should also learn effective study habits and not just revise at the last minute. Word number 26 is on the other hand. We use this phrase when we want to show a contrast between two things. For instance, climbing the career ladder can lead to better job opportunities. On the other hand, it can make maintaining a healthy work-life balance more challenging. So here I talk about a positive thing about climbing the career ladder. Then I mention a negative point. On the other hand, makes it clear that I'm about to introduce this negative point. Word number 27 is even though. This is another great word to present a contrast or difference. Let's take a look at an example. Even though technology makes it easier to stay in touch with people, it can sometimes feel less personal than face-to-face conversations. Again, I present the positive idea about technology first, then the negative point. Notice that even though is followed by a clause. This means that I need a subject plus verb after it. Our final word for introducing a contrasting idea is whereas. This usually goes in the middle of a sentence between two opposing points. For example, some industries continue to overuse natural resources, whereas others are adopting green practices to minimize their environmental impact. Word number 29 is due to this. This is an essential word that introduces a result. Let's see how we can use this in a sentence. Academic subjects are seen as more important than practical ones. Due to this, they are often prioritized in schools. Here I am saying that because academic subjects are seen as more important, they are prioritized in schools. Another option to introduce a result is the phrase as a result. For example, I tend to skip breakfast now and again. As a result, I often feel low on energy by midday. Notice that we use a comma after as a result. Although we can't see this in the speaking exam, of course, it's important as it represents a short pause. You should bear this in mind when saying the sentence. Now, we'll look at some useful phrases that can be used at the start of a sentence. Some of the phrases help you fill some time, which is super helpful because you can think of what you want to say. Others are useful for self-correction or agreement. Word number 31 is the phrase, well, let me think. This is a great phrase if you're asked a question and you need a few seconds to think about it or gather your ideas. Let's see how that might look in the speaking test. Do you think people should stay in one job for a long time, or is it better to change jobs frequently? Well, let me think. The way I see it, it depends on your goals. If you want to move up the career ladder, it is better to stay in one company. The next word is the phrase, let me see. This can be used to give yourself a couple of seconds to think before answering. We might use it in the following way. Do you think it is important for companies to offer flexible working hours? Let me see. Yes, I believe it's important because lots of people have commitments like family responsibilities or other duties. Next up is the phrase, it depends really. This is a fantastic one if you want to explain that the answer might change according to the situation. It's also a nice way to sound natural when speaking. Let's see that in an example. Do you think environmental taxes are effective? It depends really on how the environmental tax is implemented and the specific context of the country. Word number 34 is, what I mean is, sometimes after we say something, we realize that it might not be clear to the listener, or maybe we need to explain it a little bit more. To clarify an idea we just mentioned or to give more details, we can then say what I mean is and explain further or using different words. For example, I do think electric vehicles will be used more in the future, but implementing them worldwide might not happen easily. What I mean is, while they have clear environmental benefits, not everyone can afford them yet. A similar phrase we can use to give more details or clarify something is, what I'm trying to say is, let's take a look at an example. Technology has had both positive and negative impacts on relationships. On the one hand, it has made communication much easier, but on the other hand, people have less face-to-face communication nowadays. What I am trying to say is, while technology helps us stay in touch, it can also create a sense of distance. On other occasions, perhaps we make a mistake when speaking, whether that be with grammar, vocabulary, or sometimes just saying an idea that we didn't want to express. To change what we've said, we can use the phrase, sorry, let me rephrase that. For example, sometimes online courses don't provide enough engaging. Sorry, let me rephrase that. Some online courses don't encourage engagement, which can make learning less effective for some students. Here we have another phrase that also allows us to correct something we said before. It is, actually, what I meant to say was, for instance, if students were allowed to choose what they study, they might not get valuable knowledge that could advantage in the future. Actually, what I meant to say was knowledge that could benefit them. Word number 38 is the phrase "I'm not sure, but..." There are some questions that we don't have a clear opinion on, or perhaps we just don't know enough about that topic. That's okay. But to help us make what we say a bit more natural, we might use this phrase here. Let's see that in action. How important is vocational training compared to academic education? I'm not sure, but I'd say that vocational training is just as important as academic education. Not everyone wants or needs to go to university. The next one on our list is the phrase, "to some extent, yes." This is used to show partial agreement with something. Let's have a look at an example. Do you think traditional teaching methods are still effective? To some extent, yes, traditional teaching methods are still effective, especially when it comes to structured learning and discipline. However, these methods may not work for everyone. Our very last word on the list is the phrase, "I suppose you could say." This is particularly useful if you don't want to fully commit to an idea or opinion, or if you're just not sure about something. For example, I suppose you could say a good employee has a combination of skills, attitude, and work ethic, but everyone is different and it depends on the industry. I don't want to make a strong statement and claim that all good employees have good skills, attitudes, and work ethic. So I suppose makes it clear that I want to express that there may be nuance depending on the situation and professional industry. That's it. That's 40 common words and phrases you must know to get a high band score in IELTS speaking. I hope you liked this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you're notified when the next video comes out. Also, share this video with your friends so they can improve their IELTS score too. See you in the next video!